Tales of Herding Gods Episode 65. In the previous episode, Qin Mu continued his journey of enlightenment atop Saint Arrival Mountain. After days of relentless training, he finally began to grasp the secrets of the Unity Technique, a profound art that fuses all divine abilities of the great educational heavenly devil scriptures into one. His progress shocked even the three heavenly kings, for he achieved in mere days what past cult masters needed years to comprehend. Through his Overlord Body, capable of adapting to any attribute, Qin Mu harmonized the teachings of the sacred cult with his own foundation, creating a technique that flowed like nature itself, balanced, effortless, and whole. Yet his training brought unintended chaos. Entire forests were scorched, sacred relics destroyed, and even the fox spirit Hu Ling'er's mischief didn't go unnoticed. Though amused, the heavenly kings sighed in despair, realizing their new cult master might be both a genius and a disaster. Embarrassed, Qin Mu decided to leave Saint Arrival Mountain, returning to Imperial College, but his departure was anything but smooth. His experimental teleportation technique accidentally sent him straight into the sky above a deadly heavens lightning-restricted area. As thunder roared and lightning split the heavens, even the heavenly kings feared the worst, yet Qin Mu narrowly escaped, using his sharp instincts and the green heaven's eyes to see through the storm. And the story continues. The three cult heavenly kings exhausted their strength to barge out of heaven's lightning-restricted area only to see Qin Mu's figure flickering repeatedly and becoming smaller as he went further and further away from them. The three of them let out long sighs of relief. Their faces were blackened with soot, their clothes torn, and their pride wounded. Heavenly King Lu muttered bitterly that if he had known the mission would be so difficult, he would never have accepted it. The others agreed, admitting that the young sacred cult master was far more unpredictable than they had imagined. Still, they took comfort in his extraordinary potential. It was a blessing for their sacred cult to have such a gifted leader. But their relief was short-lived. They turned grim as they remembered the recent death of Heavenly King Qian and resolved to uncover who dared harm their own. Then, as they peered down from the floating Saint Arrival Mountain, they realized something alarming. The sacred ground had drifted over Mound Prefecture, a region currently engulfed in rebellion. Heavenly King Yu's heart trembled as he recalled that Mound Prefecture's revolt was led by imperial relatives with considerable power. If their sacred cult master had fallen there, he might land straight into a battlefield. They could only hope that Qin Mu's landing place was safe. Meanwhile, Qin Mu fell from the sky, and Hu Ling'er conjured a gust of demon wind to slow his descent. By the time he landed, half his vital qi was spent, but he was alive and uninjured. Looking around, he realized he was in unfamiliar territory. He asked Hu Ling'er to take out the map of Eternal Peace Empire, and after comparing the surrounding mountain ranges, he confirmed that he had indeed landed in Mound Prefecture, though still far from any city. Just as he was deciding what to do next, a merchant ship drifted through the clouds above. Spotting the opportunity, Qin Mu channeled his qi and activated heaven-pilfering divine legs, running through the air with blinding speed until he caught up and leapt onto the deck in one smooth motion. No sooner had his feet touched the ship than dozens of blades flashed around him. Flying swords hovered inches from his neck, ready to strike. Qin Mu quickly raised his hands, smiling wryly, and said that he meant no harm, he merely wanted to take passage. The coxswain, a burly man covered in tattoos, eyed him warily before asking where he was headed. Qin Mu replied that he sought passage to the capital. The coxswain nodded but warned that the fare was 100 great abundance coins. Qin Mu was stunned. It had been only 10 coins from River Tomb to the capital before. The man laughed grimly, saying that the empire was at war. Skies and roads filled with danger. Prices had soared because every journey risked death. Reluctantly, Qin Mu agreed and paid the fare. As the ship continued its journey, the tension eased, and the merchants began to talk among themselves. They discussed the rising rebellions across the empire. Shu Dai, once the Grand Empress of Passion Parting Palace, had rebelled with her sect. Three Wonders Castle, once favored by the emperor, had also turned traitor, causing even Consort Che, one of the emperor's beloved concubines, to be cast into the cold palace. The passengers wondered aloud why so many sects were rising in defiance. Some whispered that 3 months ago, Daozi of Dao sect had challenged Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor before the gates of Imperial College, and that the preceptor had emerged injured. Rumors claimed his wound had begun to rot, that he masked the stench with perfume, and that he was no longer invincible. Others added that even the Dragon Rider sect master had fought him and escaped alive, proof. They said that the preceptor was gravely weakened. The gossipers fell silent when they noticed nearby officials listening. Qin Mu sat quietly, frowning. He remembered that day at the Imperial College vividly. Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor had indeed seemed pale and weak. His face flushed unnaturally, but Qin Mu, trained in healing and familiar with cosmetics from his childhood with Granny C, recognized that the color was from rouge, not sickness. He had also smelled 2 distinct scents, one of herbal salve and another of perfume. It dawned on him now. The preceptor's injury had been a ruse. A deliberate deception. By feigning weakness, he had tempted the restless sects and noble families into open rebellion. Revealing who among them would betray the empire. The realization chilled Qin Mu. Such cunning and foresight were terrifying. Yet he couldn't understand why the imperial preceptor would allow the empire to descend into such chaos. Even if he eventually quelled the rebellions, the empire's strength would be severely damaged, and its borders threatened by foreign powers like Barbarian D and Wolf Store country. Could the imperial preceptor truly intend to seize the throne? Qin Mu doubted it. For all his ruthlessness, the man's ambition seemed directed toward reform, not self-coronation. Suddenly, the ship jolted violently. Cries of alarm rang out. Qin Mu rushed to the railing and looked below. The skies ahead were filled with explosions, fire, and light. The ship had strayed into a battlefield suspended in the air. Warships and flying chariots clashed among the clouds. Soldiers mounted on beasts and spirit birds battling fiercely. The coxswain cursed and struggled to steer the vessel away. The ship tilted dangerously but managed to slip past the edge of the fight. Qin Mu braced himself, gripping the railing. Before he could relax, a squadron of cavalry on golden-winged birds swept toward them, their sword cases glowing. With a whistle, a volley of swords shot toward the merchant ship. "We are merchants, not soldiers," the coxswain shouted. But his plea went unheard. The blades tore through the sails, slicing ropes and wood alike. The ship slowed drastically, tilting as the passengers screamed. Qin Mu steadied his stance. He recognized that this was a clash between the Imperial Army and rebel forces. Unlike sect skirmishes, these were coordinated military units, disciplined and deadly. The reforms of the Imperial Preceptor had transformed the Empire's army. Soldiers equipped with standardized spirit weapons, trained in group sword formations, and able to combine their chi to unleash overwhelming force. 10,000 swords could move as one, capable of annihilating even high-level divine arts practitioners. Many powerful sects had been destroyed by such tactics in the past. As the ship rocked violently, Qin Mu reached for his weapon but suddenly remembered. His flying swords had been destroyed in Roland's Golden Palace. He cursed under his breath and immediately summoned the Junior Protector Sword from his Teodi sack. The blade sang as it emerged, its edge gleaming coldly. With a flick of his wrist, Qin Mu unleashed a precise wave of swordlight, cleaving the incoming blades in half. Metal shards rained down across the deck as gasps filled the air. His swordsmanship was swift, fluid, and lethal, and even amidst chaos, his movements carried an effortless grace. But just when it seemed the danger was past, a new horror appeared. The soldiers riding the golden-winged birds each opened the cloth sacks hanging at their sides. From within came a deafening buzz, like thunder made of wings. A swirling cloud of golden insects erupted into the air, glittering and writhing as they shot toward the ship. "It's the insect army," someone screamed. "The insect army of 3 Wonders Castle." The cavalry raised their hands, guiding the swarm with uncanny precision. The cloud of insects twisted like serpents of light, diving straight toward the passengers. The deck erupted in panic. Qin Mu's eyes widened as he saw the swarm engulf a nearby merchant, a large man with a ruddy face and good cultivation. The insects burrowed into his eyes, nose, mouth, and ears before he could even scream. Within seconds, his body deflated, his skin collapsing inward like an empty sack. What remained was a ghastly shell of human skin lying motionless on the deck. Then, from beneath that skin, the insects stirred again. They crawled free from the hollow eye sockets, the gaping mouth, and the open nostrils, their golden wings catching the light as they rose into the air, buzzing, writhing, and flying away in swarms. And that wraps up this episode. In this part, we saw Qin Mu fall from the heavens after escaping from the sacred mountain and accidentally land in the war-torn region of Mound Prefecture. As he tried to find his bearings, he boarded a merchant ship heading toward the capital, only to witness firsthand how chaotic and dangerous the empire had become. Through the traveler's gossip, Qin Mu learned of widespread rebellions and uncovered the truth behind Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor's supposed injury, realizing it was all a calculated scheme to lure out the empire's hidden enemies. Yet even with the Preceptor's brilliance, the realm now teeters on the brink of collapse. The reforms that once unified the empire have turned it into a web of conspiracies and war. Qin Mu finds himself caught between these storms, unsure of the Preceptor's true intentions, and uncertain of what role fate will force him to play next. As the episode ended, the calm journey turned into horror. Qin Mu's ship was caught in an aerial battlefield, and the terrifying insect army of Three Wonders Castle was unleashed, devouring men alive until nothing but their skin remained. The episode closed with a haunting image of the golden insects crawling out from the empty husks of their victims and flying away into the dark sky. If you enjoyed this episode or found it intriguing, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the latest updates on Qin Mu's incredible journey. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next episode.